You're 30 and broke. Or at least, that's how it feels when the card declines at a gas station and your brain does the math you've been avoiding. You scroll past people who look 10 years ahead of you, weddings, mortgages, vacations that somehow include towels folded like swans, and it hits like a wave. I'm behind. Tonight, we're going to smash that feeling and replace it with a plan. Not a fantasy, not a spreadsheet marathon, an hour-a-week system that gets you from zero to momentum, even if your balance right now makes your stomach drop. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do first, what to ignore, and how to turn 30 from too late into prime time for compound growth. Let's start with the truth nobody puts on Instagram. Feeling broke at 30 is common, and it doesn't mean you're doomed. Life hit you with student loans, rent spikes, maybe a layoff, maybe a move, maybe family stuff. You didn't miss the boat. Boats leave all day. What actually matters is how fast you get organized and how automatic you make good decisions so you don't have to be a superhero every Tuesday. We're going to fix 5 things in order: control the bleed, build a small buffer, capture free money, automate boring investing, and nudge the dial up 1% at a time until future you is unrecognizable to present you in the best way. First, control the bleed. You cannot out-invest a hole in the bucket. Open your banking app and pull the last full month of transactions. Don't judge. Don't label yourself. Just tag every line with 3 words: must, like, later. Must is rent, minimum debt payments, groceries, transport, meds. Like is comfort that could be cheaper, subscriptions you forgot, food delivery that quietly became a hobby, Uber because you didn't plan your day. Later is anything that can move: clothes, gadgets, the treat yourself line that happens on Fridays. The goal isn't to become a monk. The goal is to find $100 to $300 a month you can redirect without tanking your life. That's your oxygen. If you can't find it in spending, we'll make it in income. We'll get there. Second, build a micro buffer. Broke is a feeling. Margin is a feeling too. Put $100 into a boring savings account and label it calm. That's not your forever emergency fund. It's a shock absorber for this week's dumb surprise. When it hits 200, then 300, you'll notice a weird thing. Your shoulders drop. You make better choices when you're not wanting convenience away from a meltdown. Eventually, we'll grow this to 3 to 6 months of expenses. For now, aim for 500 to 1,000 as a starter. Why not jump straight to investing? Because every unplanned bill becomes a reason to raid the future. The buffer protects your investments from your life. Third, fix the high-interest leak. If you're carrying double-digit interest, credit cards, payday loans, buy now, pay later with asterisks, those balances are the financial version of a house fire. Keep making minimums on everything, but pick one expensive debt and attack it. There are 2 ways to win: smallest balance first for quick motivation, or highest APR first for maximum math. I like a hybrid. Knock out one tiny balance fast to prove you can, then switch to the highest APR and stay there. Every time you free up a payment, add that amount to the next one. This is how debts vanish without you needing willpower every day. You automate the avalanche. Fourth, capture free money. If your job offers a retirement plan with a match, 401k in the US, RRSP match in Canada, similar plans elsewhere, your first investing move is to contribute enough to get the full match. If your employer matches 5%, put in 5%. That is a 100% return on day one. Nothing else in legal personal finance beats free money from your own payroll system. If there's no match, no problem. We'll use an IRA, a TFSA, or a simple low-fee brokerage account. But the principle is the same. Automate small, consistent contributions and let time be the heavy lifter. Fifth, automate boring investing. Boring isn't an insult, it's a superpower. Choose a low-cost, broadly diversified index fund or an all-in-one target date fund that matches your rough retirement year. Set up a recurring contribution the day after payday so the money moves before your brain invents excuses. Don't day trade. Don't chase hot tips. You're not trying to be the smartest person in the room. You're trying to be the person who shows up every paycheck for 25 to 35 years. That's how average people beat geniuses who can't shut off their apps. Now, let's talk timelines, because time anxiety is what makes 30 feel like a cliff. At a long-run market return of around 7% per year, money roughly doubles about every 10 years. That's the rule of 72. 72 divided by your return rate is the approximate doubling time. Start at 30, and your dollars can double around 40, 50, and 60. 3 doubles turns, 10,000 into 80,000 before you add a penny more. Add steady contributions and the curve stops being a line and starts being a ski slope. If you invest about $300 a month and stick with it for 35 years, the end number lands around the high 500s of thousands, often roughly $500,000 or more, depending on fees and the exact return. Wait 10 years to start and keep the same contribution? You may end up near half that. The difference is not hustle, it's time. But I don't have 300. Great. Start with 100. Start with 50. The habit is the engine. The dollar amount is the fuel. Here's the move that changes everything. Set a calendar nudge to increase your contribution by 1 percentage point of your paycheck every year or every quarter. You won't feel 1%. You will feel what happens in 10 years. If you're contributing, say, 5% today, schedule the bumps until you hit 10, then 12, then 15. The future you want will come from a dozen tiny decision nudges you set once and then forget. Let's put a friendly number on your goal. The first $10,000 invested is the hardest. You're building from scratch and progress feels slow. With a few hundred a month into a low-fee index fund, most people can reach 10,000 in about 2 to 3 years. The first 100,000 is a longer push, often around a decade, plus or minus a couple of years, depending on your income, contribution rate, markets, and whether you increase that contribution annually. After that, compounding starts to make more for you in a year than you contribute. That's the tipping point where your money works harder than you do. Your job is to stay in the game long enough to see it. Now let's zoom into the part that trips most people. 30 and broke isn't just math, it's a story in your head. You might be carrying shame, avoidance, or a loop that says, "I've always been bad with money." It's not a personality trait. It's a set of habits you didn't learn yet. Replace the story with a system that forces small wins. Here's a system you can set up this weekend. 1. Rename your accounts so the job is obvious. Bills, everyday, buffer, invest. 2. Route your paycheck automatically, something like 60% to bills, 25% to everyday, 10% to buffer until you hit $1,000, 5% to invest to start. 3. Cluster your bill due dates to the week after payday and set everything to autopay from the bills account. 4. Set the invest transfer for the day after payday so it leaves before you can get creative. 5. Schedule a repeating 1% bump every 3 months. That's your autopilot. You can be tired, busy, stressed, or distracted, and the plan still runs. What should you invest in specifically? Keep it simple. If your workplace plan has a target date fund with low fees, that's a plug-and-play, set-it-and-forget-it option. It automatically shifts your stock and bond mix as you age. If you're choosing in a brokerage account, a broad total market index fund, or a simple 2-fund combo, a total stock market fund and a total international fund covers the world at a microscopic cost. If you like bonds for stability, add a total bond index fund in a proportion that lets you sleep, maybe 10 to 20% in your 30s if volatility keeps you up, more later if you prefer a smoother ride. The enemy isn't volatility, the enemy is quitting. Build a portfolio you can stick with. What about debt, investing, and the order of operations? Here's a practical sequence. Keep making minimum payments on all debts to protect your credit. Build that first 500 to 1,000 buffer so surprises don't blow you up. Capture any employer match, it's free money. Then throw extra at the highest interest balances until those rates dive under the likely return of the market. When your toxic debt is tamed, accelerate your investing and increase the emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. You can run some of this in parallel. A little to the buffer, a little to the match, a lot to the worst debt. Perfect sequencing is less important than sticking to a simple plan you'll actually do. Let's find more dollars without hating life. Your three biggest levers are usually housing, transport, and food. Housing. A roommate for 12 months can be worth $5,000 to $10,000 to your plan. One awkward conversation buys you a year of breathing room. If moving is off the table, try a rent negotiation at renewal, especially if you're a quiet, on-time tenant. Transport. If you're financing a car that eats your budget, consider selling it and buying a solid used beater in cash. The feeling of no car payment is a personality change. Food. Batch cook 2 meals per week with big leftovers, and you'll accidentally save hundreds a month without feeling like your life is a spreadsheet. Then audit your bills like a game. Call your phone and internet providers and ask for a loyalty discount. 15 minutes often frees $20 to $50 a month. Immediately increase your auto-invest by the amount you just saved, so it doesn't evaporate. You can also increase income without burning out. Ask for a raise with receipts. Not I work hard, but here are 3 ways I saved or made the company money. If you can't get a raise where you are, interview elsewhere. Sometimes the biggest boost is changing teams, not begging your current one. Add a simple side stream that respects your time, a weekend shift every other week, a small freelance gig, a seasonal rush job. Treat all extra income like dry powder, half to debt or buffer, half to investing. You'll be shocked how fast broke turns into I'm okay when you stack tiny wins. Mindset guardrails matter. 3 rules. 1. Never cash out retirement accounts early unless it's absolute survival. Taxes and penalties turn emergencies into disasters and you reset the compounding clock. 2. Don't compare your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 10. Social media is a highlight reel. Your scoreboard is your auto-invest number and your next 1% bump date. 3. Accept that markets wiggle. You'll see months where your contributions show up and your balance goes sideways. That's not failure, that's the price of admission for long-term growth. Boring works because most people can't stand boring. Now, the 30 part. This decade is secretly the best time to build. You are young enough that compounding still loves you and old enough to make decisions you'll actually keep. Maybe you want to start a family, buy a home, change careers, or start a business. Each of those goals has a savings plan, down payment fund, maternity-paternity buffer, career transition runway, seed fund, but the engine underneath stays the same: automatic contributions, low fees, and time. If you're planning kids, start a separate parent calm fund now, even $50 a month, because babies don't care about your budget, and future you will be grateful when you can buy diapers without touching your long-term investments. If you're planning a home, define affordable by payment, not price. A monthly payment that still lets you invest 15% of your income is the house you can keep. What if you live in a high-cost area and everything I just said sounds cute? Then your first victory might be relocation, across town, across state, across the country. Rents and salaries don't move in lockstep. A place that pays 10% less but costs 30% less is a race wearing different clothes. Or your first victory is co-living with purpose, not shame. 2 adults splitting big fixed costs so both can invest aggressively for 18 months. Or it's upskilling, a focused certificate, apprenticeship, or bootcamp that lifts your income by $5,000 to $10,000 in the next year. Every extra dollar is a soldier. Where you deploy soldiers decides how fast you win. Let's touch on taxes without putting everyone to sleep. Use the accounts that fit your situation. If your plan offers pre-tax contributions that lower your taxable income now, that's cash flow relief and more invested up front. If your income is lower today than you expect later, a Roth-style account trades a tax break now for tax-free growth later, which can be powerful. In some countries, you also get tax credits for retirement contributions. Grab them and reinvest the refund. If your country offers catch-up contributions after a certain age, make a note in your calendar now for your 50-something self to crank the dial. Taxes are not a reason to freeze, they're a reason to be deliberate. What about picking stocks, crypto, or some brilliant friend's startup deal? You can allocate a tiny fun money slice, 5% or less if you absolutely must scratch the itch. But the core stays simple. The boring core is the part that makes you wealthy on average. The fun slice is entertainment. Treat it like tickets to a game. Enjoy it, cheer, but don't plan your mortgage around the score. Okay, brass tacks. What does a week look like when you're 30 and building from broke? Monday, you check your bills account and your everyday account. Bills is on track. Every day has a simple limit you respect. Tuesday, your auto invest runs. You don't even notice, because you've budgeted for it. Wednesday, you do the 15-minute bill call for a loyalty discount. Thursday, you batch cook. Friday, you review your debt avalanche and smile at the line that's disappearing. Saturday, you spend 2 hours on a side shift or a small skill boost. Sunday, you do a 2-minute scoreboard, emergency buffer number, auto invest amount, next 1% date. That loop fits inside a busy life. You aren't waiting for motivation, you built rails. Let's revisit the feeling that started this, 30 and broke. Here's the reframe. You are 30 and early. Early to a life where you don't panic at bills. Early to a system where paydays are calm. Early to a future where your money makes more money than you do. You are not behind, you are at mile 0 of a marathon you will finish because you decided to train a little every day. The people who look ahead of you aren't better, they just started earlier, or they had help. You're starting now, and you're getting help from a boring plan and a noisy friend on the internet who refuses to let you quit on yourself. If you want action steps you can do before you sleep, here they are. Rename your accounts: bills, everyday, buffer, invest. Set a recurring transfer, something, into invest for the day after payday. If you have a match at work, change your contribution to capture all of it. Put $50 into buffer and label it calm. Choose one debt and schedule an extra payment, even if it's tiny. Add a calendar nudge 3 months from today to increase your contribution by 1%. That is a complete plan. It will carry you farther than any hack or hot take, because it's designed for a real human with real life happening. In a year, you'll look back and the graph will not be flat anymore. In 3 years, the 10,000 mark will look small. In 10, you'll be the person people ask for advice, and you'll say the most powerful, boring words. Automate it, increase it 1%, and don't touch it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. 30 and broke is a headline. 30 and building is a habit. And habits beat headlines every time. This is compound state. If this reset helped, share it with the friend who keeps saying they'll start when things calm down. Things rarely calm down on their own. We calm them down with systems. Drop your auto invest number and your next 1% date in the comments and tell me your first tiny win this week. The boat's still at the dock. You're on it now.